Welcome to PNRShow, Season 1, Episode 19, Lawnmower.
I'd rather have lager than lime. I'll take a strong stout over stride. I'd prefer to confer with a half pint of ale than live a long life till my private parts fail. For life without liquor is to no avail, so bring me lager for lime. I'd rather have lager than lime.
You want the pint? I think I'm entitled to. You want the pint? I want the pint! You can't handle the pint! Son, we live in a world that has beers, and those beers have to be guarded by men with thirst. Who's gonna do it? You, Lieutenant Budweiser? I have a greater responsibility than you could possibly fathom. You weep for Prima Pills, and you curse the IPA. You have that luxury. You have the luxury of not knowing what I know. That stupid Pliny the Elder's death, while tragic, probably saved lives. And my existence, while grotesque and incomprehensible to you, saves lives. You don't want the beer because deep down in places you don't talk about at parties, you want me on that beer. You need me on that beer. We use words like yeast, like pills, like grains of paradise. We use those words as the backbone of a brew spent defending something. You use it as a punchline. I have neither the time nor the inclination to explain myself to a man who rises and sleeps under the very refrigerator of the beer that I provide and then questions the manner in which I provide it. I would rather you just said thank you and went on your way. Otherwise, I suggest you pick up a stein and stand at a bar. Either way, I don't give a damn what you think you are entitled to. The Pint of No Return Show.
Wow. Wow.
Did someone say clipping?
Wow. Oh.
That's why I was one of the reasons I wanted to use the microphone on the camera, because I was hoping for that nice theatrical effect.
I'm guessing you watched a Few Good Men or something this recently.
No, I just pulled up something.
Alright.
Oh my god.
Tonight on the Pint of No Return Show, we revisit our Texas beers, and we're going to do Lawnmower. Also, Google driving cars, the Will Wheaton Project, and much, much more. And now, here are your hosts of Hefeweizen, your ambassadors of beer, Keith, Jeremy, Gary, and Rob, for the Pint of No Return Show!
Hey, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you.
How
Good
you
evening.
doing?
Good, great.
You're looking awfully relaxed.
I am. It's getaway day almost, or getaway eve for me.
Huh.
I'm about to leave this mortal coil of Texas and journey down to Mexico where the cervezas do pour.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
My bottle opener seems to have taken a vacation.
Oh my goodness, you guys are like dead to the world.
I'm
Dude,
not
I
dead.
saw-
It's not like we're
I'm
doing
still-
a podcast or anything.
I'm still trying to recover from the volume at which that whole opening sequence happened after we told you to just be quiet.
That was a hostile work
Clipping?
environment.
Oh, I gotta
Environment.
I gotta tell you, I
you-
didn't hear anything.
Clearly.
I was looking at the lines.
You're very, very loud and you're clipping, and so all that came through very, very distorted.
That's awesome. Even better.
better.
Yes.
Which is fine for an opening, but if you could just take a breath. Go to your Pilates.
We need somebody with energy. Come on.
You want that beer. You need that
want it.
beer.
I want
That
it.
just
Yeah,
sounds perverted.
It does, but I like it.
All right, so how are we doing tonight?
My chubby.
I'm doing awesome.
Great. I think you'll be doing even more awesome when we get to our beer for the evening. But first, we want to thank the Poxy Bargards, especially Stu Venable, for the use of his music for our opening theme. You can find their stuff at iTunes or at poxybargards.com. That's POXYBOGGARDS.com. We can contact the show. You can see it at the bottom of the screen there, but if you're listening, you can contact us at 585-496-HTMH. Really? Happy Time Magic Hour?
Yeah. Well,
Okay,
no,
great.
we
Why mess
can't
with
change
something that works, right?
We can't change the number. You could give out the numbers,
Yeah, it still works.
but it works.
585-496. I don't know the numbers. And we've got the Twitters at Jeremy Brooks, at Always Breaking, at Wolfman K, at RebRob, REBRB, at PNRShow. Your one-stop shop for beer and all things crazy and stupid. All right, St. Arnold's beer.
Wait.
What's up?
There's one more place that people can get a hold of us.
Oh yeah, where's that?
Google Plus.
Google Plus.
Apparently, while we're streaming the show live, people can leave comments. You know how I know this?
Why?
They left comments
Someone left a comment?
last week.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
We had people watching our show and leaving comments.
Wow.
Yes, we have if I only caught it almost by mistake because it doesn't show up anywhere in the Hangout, which is a shame. It should show up in the Hangout.
Yeah.
That would be good.
That would be nice, Google, if you're listening. But yeah, if there's a gentleman, I'm going to guess it's a gentleman, Grattarti Spiro, said he will join our empire. Fear not, Rob. I think last week you mentioned something about building an empire.
Yes.
He is among us.
Ah, good and
I can't
faithful
pronounce his
servant.
name.
Good and faithful servant. Welcome.
He also made the other comment, which I don't know what this is in reference to because he probably made it live, but it said, better have bog myrtle in it. Anybody remember what we were talking about last week where it would have made sense to have bog myrtle in it?
Not even a little bit.
What the heck is bog myrtle?
I have no idea.
Wow.
It could be a person. It could be an ingredient.
Sounds like
Bog myrtle beer. It's a beer.
Oh.
It's a beer. It's an herb, and it's actually an herb native to Scotland that's used in a beer.
Oh,
They use bog myrtle instead of hops.
Oh, well, maybe
That's not
that's
beer.
where Grattarti's from. Although Grattarti's Spiro sounds like it might be, I don't know, Greece?
In fact, the
it's
brew.
That's good.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's great.
I just thought I'd leave
Progress.
that. We have a feedback section. I get all excited when we get to use it, you know?
Let me give you even yet a little more information. Sweet Gale, also known as bog myrtle, was used to flavor gruit in lieu of hops from the Middle Ages to the 16th century.
Huh. I would try bog myrtle in my beer.
Bog myrtle's bitterness is a
Hell, I put salt in my beer.
beer.
I'd try beer. Just,
Oh, are you thirsty, West Coaster? Has it been warm?
It's been 5 minutes since we started.
All right, so we have got for you from St. Arnold's, which is a brewery in pretty much in downtown Houston, just outside of the Loop. You can see it from downtown. We've got a little beer called Fancy Lawnmower. And
Fancy lawnmower, huh? Oh, yeah, it is fancy lawnmower. I didn't even see the fancy
I
part of
didn't see
that.
the fancy until you said that either.
Yeah.
got it.
It just kind of blended in with the sink guy there.
Yeah.
And I actually haven't had too many St. Arnold's myself, other than their root beer, which is amazing. But people rave about St. Arnold's, so this will be new for me. And thanks to Gary for looking up, or Jeremy, to looking up the ABV for us. It's 4.9%, and it's a Kölsch. Tell us about a Kölsch.
Is that it?
The Kolsch?
Yes.
Jeremy knows about it.
Kölsch.
Beer.
Kolsch.
It's a lager, isn't it? Isn't a Kolsch a kind of lager? Let's see.
I think it's a beer that's specifically from Germany, specialty beer from Cologne.
Nicely read.
Thank you. Specialty beer brewed in Cologne. So it's a clear, very light colored beer. Not super hoppy, but it does have a hop flavor. And it should have some nice malt flavor too.
Oh,
Usually,
man.
The Kolsch I've had, they're typically pretty refreshing.
Smells fantastic.
Yeah, I was about half right. They say it's warm fermented and then cold conditioned or lagered. So
It's got a very lager type head and pour.
Lager
Those-
and
those-
yeast.
Those thin little bubbles. Golden
it smells
color.
Like lager. It
Yeah.
smells kind of almost corn,
Mine smells bready.
sweet. Yeah, a little bit bready. Let's give her a
Oh.
pour.
This looks lovely.
Bready and very.
It is very clear, so we've definitely been filtered.
4.9 APV BV, so that's like right in my wheelhouse.
It's a baby beer.
Nope.
Little
It'll
cloudy.
go up.
Yours,
Sadly, we don't
No,
have the
there's
correct
no
glasses
cloud.
for this.
Oh, sorry. I mean, I was looking at your fingers were your finger was behind it, so I'm like, oh, that's really cloudy.
No,
see.
it's almost piss clear.
I can't tell because I'm in an iced mug that's
Bye.
green.
My pee is cloudier than this.
Let's not.
Thanks for sharing.
Slap
And
the
oddly, it is not
explicit-
the same color.
Slap the explicit rating. Let's
It's a
drink.
medical
Anyway.
Gary
description.
really needs a drink, so let's drink. Prost! Ooh. Ooh. Mm. That is delightful.
You know, there's one thing to be said about Texas beers is they know how to make beers that taste good in warm weather.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
I was expecting this to taste a little like grass. I don't know, maybe because of the name.
The lawnmower name. I think you're supposed to drink it while you're mowing the lawn.
After.
That would be a good.
After.
That would be a good lawn mowing beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's probably it. The lawn might add some flavor.
Whoa. I got some good flavor coming off of this.
It digs in already.
You gotta start somewhere.
I'll take it first. I'll go first.
Oh, you're going first? I thought you were always
Yeah.
your last. Peter.
Yeah,
Texas beer.
I'll let you guys work up something good for your
Okay.
review. It's got a nice, slightly little buttery taste, kind of a dry taste to it. No real sweetness to it at all, which is really nice. It's got a bit of a crispness. I don't want to say it has an apple crisp tartness, but there is some of that to it. It's that type of crisp flavor, but it's got that definitely lager finish, that nice wheat lager finish, and I really, really like it. I think I would describe this as simple. Very simple beer, and I will give this a solid, I'll give it a solid 8. I like it. Gary rolled his eyes, so I don't think he does.
And on the other side of the spectrum is Gary.
And you want me to go next? Sure.
Yeah,
I'll get
absolutely.
rotated.
Let's have you and Rob at odds.
Um,
The foundation of the show.
there is nothing offensive about this beer.
And stop there.
That-
End of review.
It's very clean. It's very clear. It's almost flat. It drinks a lot like water.
Oh.
Mine is so not almost flat.
Yeah,
Mine is
that's-
definitely not some-
I don't know. Maybe
Maybe
it
you
didn't
got a
travel-
bad one.
Maybe it didn't travel well, but I
Yeah.
mean, there's.
Mine's got a lot of bubble action going on. A lot of good mouthfeel.
I mean, it's
And
still-
some good
it's still
flavor. I'm sorry.
There
It's
are
your
some
review,
flavors there.
Gary. It's your review. Sorry.
There are some flavors there. It's got a little hint of stuff. It's just so, to me, it's just so unremarkable. And not memorable in any way other than, I guess that's why it's a lawnmower beer, because you could probably drink this while mowing the lawn and not really notice that you're drinking it, because nothing stands out to me. But on the plus side, it's not offensive, and, on a warm day, you could drink a lot of these. It probably does have some thirst-quenching characteristics to it. So, yeah, I would say not outstanding, not offensive, so I'll give it a 4.
So not something you would drink again.
I wouldn't pass it up. I wouldn't buy it.
Okay. So it's a beer you'd only be drink if given to free.
Yes.
But wouldn't complain about having a free beer.
But wouldn't complain about having a free beer. Yeah, it's like, I've gone to like trade and stuff where you go to the evening cocktail parties and they give you, coupons for beer, and it's like, oh yeah, get a free crappy beer. This is much better than that, so that's why it's a 4.
Okay, so better or worse than like a PBR?
It's better.
Okay. Alright,
Yeah,
so-
definitely better. Oh yeah, I would avoid those unless it was the only thing there and water wasn't available. But this I would drink. If someone handed me one and said, "Here, have a beer," I go, okay, and have a beer.
So where's your number on this one?
4.
4.
4. Okay.
So we're averaging a 6 right now.
I get the things that Gary gets in it, but I find them pleasing. It's really a refreshing, clean beer to me. It has enough body that it feels satisfying, and the finish lingers for a little while, but not too long, and then just kind of fades away and leaves a really clean palate, which makes me want to take another drink of it. Mine doesn't look bubbly. It looks flat to look at what the bubbles are doing, but when I drink it, it's got plenty of carbonation in it. It's almost like very fine champagne bubbles maybe in the beer. And something, well, I'm almost done with it. It's easy to drink.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. I probably wouldn't buy a 6-pack, but I would definitely buy it on tap if I found it. Especially on a hot day. It's a good summertime beer, and I think a pretty decent example of the style too from the other Kolsch that I've had. I like it. I'm going to give it a 7.
All right. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think I've had a lot of Kolsch. The last one I can remember having was a Dundee. And Dundee, although they make some good beers, they're not real good at nailing styles real well. So, yeah, having them as my only comparison is probably not a good thing. But that being said, I think this is kind of a hard beer to describe, so I'm going to compare it to something else. And you're all going to groan when I do this, but hear me out. This is actually, I think this is fairly accurate.
Okay.
I think if you took a Coors Light, or not even a Coors Light, a Coors, and removed all the offensive bad aftertastes from it and the overly sweet malts and such that they have in it, you would have this. So
No, this
it's
is better than that.
no. I'm saying everything that I hate about a Coors is not in this. It's the aftertaste, and it's a little too sticky sweet. This has all been toned down a little bit. So this is what, in my opinion, what Coors should be. If Coors were making a proper beer, it would taste a lot like this. So therefore, I'm saying it's a good compliment. This is what the simple American beer drinker's beer should be. Your Budweisers, your Coors should taste this good, and the fact that they don't is just says something really sad for most of America. But on a rating scale, I give this. I think it's really drinkable. I like the mouthfeel. I'm getting a lot of good bubbles, and you can see it's still producing head for me. So I don't know what you guys are doing, other than maybe just didn't travel as well to you guys as it did to me. But it's really, in fact, I just got a nice little burp. It's really thirst quenching, easy to drink, good mouthfeel. It's just not remarkable in any other flavor context. So definitely 5. On a really hot day, I'd give it a 6.
Is it a really hot day?
No, it's raining out now.
Okay.
So 5.
All right, that rounds to a 6.
Which is about where I think it should be, really.
Yeah.
Actually, not bad for a very, very light beer on this show, where I think most of us tend to like a little darker, little heavier beers.
Yeah.
I think if
pretty
you
respectable.
you guys who are out there buying the Coors Light and the Jenny Light and the and the Bud Light, if you handed them this, they would think this is an amazing beer, and they would like craft beer. If you handed them this, it's definitely not unapproachable.
No, it is that. It is approachable. I think that's a good word for it.
Yeah.
It is a beer that you could hand pretty much anybody who says they will drink beer, and they'll like it for the most part, I think.
Yeah, I agree. So I would buy it. I'd buy it in the summertime. And for exactly what it's advertised as a lawnmower beer. I can see putting this bottle in my little cup holder on my tractor and riding around with it. And at 4%, it won't kill me either on a hot day.
No, and at 4%, it doesn't actually have enough alcohol in it to fuel your lawnmower, so you'd have to drink it.
Yeah, no, there's no option there. So.
All right, so lawnmower, first of St. Arnold's. Fancy lawnmower, sorry.
Fancy lawnmower, not
Yeah,
regular
I'm a
lawnmower.
little scared of what the unfancy lawnmower might be.
Yeah, it's weird. I can't believe it.
I do want the Saint guy to come mow my lawn, though.
Yeah.
I think he's pretty cool, and if he'd bring his lawnmowers there
He's got a nice hat.
And bless them and mow my lawn, I'd be real happy with him.
Yeah. Got a nice hat like Rob.
Maybe they're going to Mexico.
Rob is like, are we still doing the show? I'm on vacation.
I'm checked out. Okay, pint taken. Thank you guys for the comments on the beer, and we would love to hear your comments on the beer and the show. You can contact us at those Twitter names we said, and leave comments on our webpage, pineandnoreturnshow.com, or is it PNRShow.com?
It's PNRShow.com.
PNRShow.com. We'd love to have you give us some comments, just like the Bog Myrtle. We'll see if we can find some Bog Myrtle.
Yeah.
Some Bog Myrtle beers. But now we're off to our Pint Taken segment, where we look at some issues that caught our eye this week. And one of the big ones are the Google self-driving cars. Now, we've heard about the self-driving cars for a while now. California, I know you guys, at least in the LA area, piloted some of those programs. But Google is coming to the forefront recently with a concept that they think might work. So if one of you more tech-savvy guys can talk about what Google's looking to do with self-driving cars.
There was an article, which will be linked in the show notes, about why Google's self-driving cars seem to work so well. And they're taking a little different approach. If you think of a self-driving car, you might think of a car with tons and tons of sensors on it that's always scanning the area around it and making decisions based on what it finds. Google's taken a different approach in that they have made incredibly detailed maps that not only have the position of obstacles, but the height of the obstacles. So the car knows how high the curbs are, where the curbs are, where the stoplights are, what's in front of it, what's around it at all times. And by having a detailed map like that, they can take a starting position and a destination, plug it into the car, and the car knows what is along the way on the entire route to an incredible detail. And in addition to that, they have all the sensors scanning the road, looking for pedestrians, and comparing what the sensors find to what the map says should be there. So the car is essentially adding to a very, very detailed map, which allows it to make better decisions. It really sounds like a good approach. Of course, it requires a huge amount of work to make the maps. And dogs.
It requires a huge
Currently, they've
amount of
mapped out the San Jose? Silicon Valley area. So they have a very limited area where they can operate the car. But where they can operate it, it works extremely well.
Yeah, it was, as I read the article, I was amazed at the level of detail. Things like how high is the curve in certain areas, measuring it down to inches and things like that. And I think they said they have like 2,000 miles of road in the Mountain View area that they've mapped out for this car. And then, then there was a comment that said something like there are, I don't know how many, what did it say, 4 million miles of road in the U.S.
4 million miles of road to map.
Yeah, so they've done a very, very small percentage of it as their pilot. But it's an interesting concept because it's basically just looking at differences as opposed to having to compute everything on the fly. And the way computers are these days, I would imagine that the reflexes of a car could be faster than human reflexes, just because computers are so powerful now that if a cat or dog, like a barking dog, ran out in front of the car, I would imagine it would be able to stop or correct in time to avoid hitting it or avoid an accident.
Or track it and run it over.
Yeah. which mine will be programmed.
Which might work.
I think, after reading this article and after, watching this show, anybody who's in a car, and you might be in a car right now, so you could probably start right away. Start looking at the road around you in this level of detail, and you will be amazed at how much crap is there, from drain grates to fire hydrants on the sidewalks to street signs, road signs, traffic lights. Every little bit, curb heights, potholes in the road, everything like this that comes up. The car is constantly checking to see if, yes, it's still there. Yes, it's still there. And if it's not there, why is it not there? Okay, is it because there's something in front of it? Do I have to worry about this thing in front of it? It's just quite astonishing to punch in this much data into the algorithm. And I think it's definitely the way you got to go, unless you're going to put your self-driving cars on some kind of train track. Then you've got to have this level of detail in it to make it functional. But it's really cool, and I think going into work tomorrow, I'll definitely be checking out all the roadside stuff, all the stuff in front of me, just to try to pick up that stuff that I'm sure Google has picked up tenfold what I'll see.
Yeah.
And then they also track what, for example, if the car thinks there's something in front of it and it should make a left-hand turn to avoid it, it may hand over control to the driver at that point, depending on the situation, but the car will continue to track what it thinks it should have done, and the engineers will use that data to make it smarter and allow it to make better decisions, much like humans learn by continued experience driving. So I think they've got some good things coming.
Yeah.
If we live that long.
Having driven like 530 miles yesterday, I drove from Anaheim home via Davis, which is a longer route than I normally would have. We could certainly use self-driving cars, especially on I-5. That's a stretch of road that I don't know how many cars drive on it every day, but it is long and boring and tedious, and there are a lot of people that really should not even have driver's licenses out there weaving in and out and just doing very dangerous things. I would love to be able to tune out and watch a movie for 3.5 hours traversing I-5 through the Central Valley of California. That would be a perfect application of this.
I-5 would be an ideal spot for this.
Yeah, oh my God. And it just say, set my, whatever, and even if all the cars around you are, the speed limit out there is like 70 miles an hour. So even if they limit it and say, you're only going to go 70 miles an hour up that stretch of road, I'd be fine with that for the most part, because the difference between 70 and 80 miles an hour is only going to save you a few minutes on your drive, realistically. So I would totally be into having a car just drive itself for 350 miles.
Yeah, that'd be pretty okay.
I've always thought of myself as a driver's, as more of a driver, and when the idea of this first came out, I was always very, very resistant to giving up my control over my car. But at the same time, since then, I've been doing a lot of driving and a lot of driving for my job and stuff like that, and I am just constantly annoyed now at how much work I could be doing when I'm driving. 20 minutes here, half hour there, all this stuff adds up, and I could be way more productive if I weren't just holding the wheel. So there's definitely time for the driver to be involved and things that are fun to drive and when you're out doing that, but at the same time there's definitely times when you can turn the car over safely to something else that's going to do a better job of it while I can actually make phone calls, answer emails, read books, read technical data, all this stuff, and be better prepared when I get to my meeting or wherever I'm going.
Okay, so what kind of, so you're thinking of it's a vehicle where you basically turn full control over to, you can just kind of do whatever, or do you have to maintain some kind of, do you have to monitor what the car is doing? Or is it totally autonomous?
I would love it totally autonomous. I think that would be great.
Okay, so my question then would be... In
certain types of situations.
I think
a situation, fine. Around town where kids are going to possibly running in and out, cats, dogs, that kind of stuff. Maybe semi-autonomous would be better.
But okay, so there have been instances where some idiot tries to cross a major highway. and gets hit and gets killed. So my question would be, if you're in a self-driving car and the accident happens again, because we know that it's not a foolproof system. There will be accidents. There will be, fender benders. It's not instantaneous stopping. At least not now. Maybe at some point it will be. Okay, so if your self-driving car hits someone, who's liable?
You are. It's your car.
It's an interesting question.
Unless you have a Volvo.
I would want to.
The Volvo has said their self-driving cars, if you get in an accident while it's in self-driving mode, they will take responsibility.
If there is, so my answer to my own question is, if I have to relinquish if I have to maintain liability, yet relinquish control of my vehicle, then I'm not going to do it.
Well, the thing is here is, this situation that you've given, if you're going to put you in charge of possibly avoiding the accident or a computer in charge of possibly avoiding the accident, I'm going to put my money on the computer making it out in better shape than any human. And I'm not saying you, Rob, because you're a great driver, but versus any human versus any computer. The computer's going to react faster. It's going to be in better control. It's going to know. Okay. It's going to predict the position of the person and swerve better, and control it when it goes off the road better than any human's going to do.
So okay, so let's say that the computer is 100 times better than a human can be in terms of avoiding accidents. So if you had, say, 100,000 accidents, I'm speaking anyway from someone gets killed in an accident to a fender bender. You go from 100,000 accidents a year to 1,000, which is a great reduction. I'm sure everyone would take that. So for those 1,000 people that get in an accident where their car, self-driving car, does something, whether that be very serious to just a minor inconvenience, who's responsible? You're saying the driver's still going to be responsible for something he played no part in?
I don't know. That's an interesting dilemma and an interesting question. It's probably going to depend entirely upon the circumstances, because I would venture to say, along the lines of what Keith was saying, that the person or the entity that was at fault wouldn't necessarily be the car. I think the self-driving cars would do a much better job of avoiding the accident and wouldn't do something stupid to get in the accident to begin with. Most of the accidents that are at fault of a person are because of some negligence on their part. They were texting on their phone, their kids were screaming in the back seat, they saw a flashing light and turned their head, changing their song on the radio, whatever it is. They were doing something that wasn't 100% focused on the road. If they were 100% focused on the road, they probably wouldn't have gotten an accident. Self-driving cars will always be 100% focused on the road and will not be distracted by any of those other things that are going on. But even if there is something, they'll be able to process it and determine if there's something at risk that they should correct.
But they'll still get into accidents.
Yeah, Rob, you're right. I mean, there's still going to be something. There's going to be the 1 in a million chance. There's going to be the 1 in 100 million chance that they'll get in an accident. But they're probably not going to get in an accident with another self-driving car. They're going to get in an accident with something weird that happened. Now, a weird thing that happens is some jerk that runs across the road, where there are no pedestrians allowed, then yes, who's at fault there? Just the same person who's at fault if it happened now and you were driving. Yeah.
It depends on the circumstance. If the software just fails,
or you do what New York State does and you go become no fault.
Yeah, and that's
nobody has any fault, and we all pay through the nose for every accident or every claim.
True. I mean, it would be
insurance will drop because there will be fewer accidents.
It would be akin to me to getting on a bus or getting on a subway, and that bus or that subway getting in an accident. I'm a passenger.
Or getting on a plane.
Or a plane. I'm a passenger. I am not at fault for an accident.
But the plane has insurance. The plane, it doesn't matter. There's an accident, the insurance pays, no big deal.
So if this were, just kind of leapfrogging on that idea, then we'd pretty much have to reorganize the entire auto insurance industry to something different than drivers being at fault. It'd have to be some kind of collective, not only collective pool of insurers, but a collective pool of assumed liability.
Well, actually, maybe they just change it around so that it isn't the drivers in the cars that have the insurance. It's all the idiots without drivers in cars that need insurance now.
Insure themselves from the self-driving
Or
cars.
car companies like Volvo's doing. They say they'll take liability depending on, if one of their self-driving cars causes an accident, they take liability. That'll be the case.
There's already 12 states with no fault, so
Yeah, no fault is
maybe that's the way
it's
things
probably perfect for this. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. I mean, as far as insurance goes, now if you're talking criminal liability, that's entirely different.
That's kind of where I was talking about to begin with, but
Well, they'll treat it like they do with auto recalls now. I mean, look what GM's going through. They're having to recall another 2.5 million cars. And
okay, so there's another. If there's a defect in your car that causes yeah, sure, it just reboots itself or something, or it misses one of 1,000 different stimuli that could cause an accident, and it ends up killing someone.
Well, if you're talking a criminal case, it's going to be solved on a case-by-case basis anyway, just like it is now.
Okay.
It's going to go to court, and they're going to decide who was at fault. Was it the driver because he took control for a second, or the black box says he did?
It's just
the car, and the programmer. Is it going to be the idiot who crossed the road where it says no pedestrians allowed?
It's just an interesting philosophical wrinkle on the entire idea. I think if the stats were anything like I was talking about, where you drop from 100% to 1% of the accidents, I don't think that there's a person around that wouldn't take that reduction.
I think what it's going to take, though, is people having a different concept of what it means to get in your car and drive. Because there are people now that just get in their car and drive and turn into total assholes. And they're like different people, and they're doing things that are just absolutely insane and crazy. Whether they're driving 25 miles an hour on a street or 85 miles an hour down an interstate.
Drinking or texting or talking or changing the radio, a number of things.
The other thing you have to realize, too, is this is such a major shift in culture that why would you apply the same concepts to it? I mean, you're assuming that the cars are going to be personally owned and that you're going to have your own self-driving car. Well, maybe you will, but maybe you just go to the corner and get the Johnny Cab, and the Johnny Cab takes you there. And then it's the Johnny Cab company's fault because
it's
they're
Google. You literally call Google for a car.
Yeah. Or there's just one on every major street corner, and you get in and tell it where you want to go.
Yeah, I think our culture is such that we'd have to have our own. But there's certainly ways around changing.
There's certainly a lot of evolution between here and there, where something like that could happen, or start moving that way.
Yeah. The taxi industry is done. The bus industry is done. Passenger train industry would be done.
No. Taxi industry would go through the roof.
It would be
on my plan. You just wouldn't have drivers.
It would be something like a mashup between Google and Uber, and it would be called Goober.
Get my Goober car.
They'll probably start with things like automating certain parts of driving, where when you're on the interstate, you're in automated mode, and it merges you onto the freeway in such a way that it doesn't disrupt the flow of traffic. It makes it easier. How many accidents during commute times are people merging in and out, right?
Sure. Well, not only that, but it'll probably communicate to other vehicles when you're merging to make a space.
Exactly. But then when you hit surface streets, you're into manual driving mode or something like that.
I mean, take a look. Watch like those few scenes in Minority Report where
something like that.
All those cars it looks like a gigantic chaotic mess, but they're all interconnected and weaving in and out amongst each other.
And I do think computers will do it better than us, as long as it's not the same people that programmed Windows.
So in the last 2 weeks, we've got perhaps programmed robots serving in the military and self-driving cars. This is like Total Recall, Minority Report. It's just amazing how quickly these seemingly far-fetched, fantastical science fiction movies are actually coming to life.
There's so many things that have been automated over the years in all kinds of industries. Look at what manufacturing's done over the last even the last decade, it's improved so much. That's why electronics have gotten so much cheaper. This is just kind of, to me, the next evolution of the automation that started with, the Ford Motor Company and their assembly line and automating things. It just keeps moving. It's now that automation is moving out of the production space into the consumer space and automating things in our life that should be automated. And I think driving long distances and routine commutes and things like that should be automated.
I think at some point there'll probably be lanes on the highway that are dedicated. Like they have commuter lanes now. They're going to be automated lanes
or toll roads.
Yeah, you're gonna jump in there, and it's gonna be your self-driving lane, and your car puts itself there as soon as you enter it, and it spits you out at your exit and makes you take over, or just pulls over to the side and stops.
Be great.
If we could have just that much, it would be such a huge improvement.
Be very, very cool. All right, self-driving cars, pretty neat. I added this little topic at the last minute. I wanted to talk real quick about the Wil Wheaton project. I have come full circle on Mr. Wil Wheaton over the years, from his days in Star Trek, back to Stand By Me and the other little things that he's done over the years. I had traditionally found Wil Wheaton to be a big annoyance and really kind of a just pretentious and annoying, just an annoying kind of a guy. And over the last couple of years, through reading some of his blog posts and specifically watching him on Big Bang Theory and on his hit web series Tabletop, it got me interested in learning more about who he was. And upon reading it and finding that he doesn't take himself nearly as seriously as everybody thought he did, or maybe he's just changed and evolved over the years to not be that kind of a dick, maybe that he was, or maybe he never was. I really have come to appreciate Wil Wheaton and kind of the niche he's carved out for himself in the entertainment business. And I was really excited about maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago that he announced that he's getting his own show on the Sci-Fi Network called The Wil Wheaton Project. It actually begins next Tuesday, a week from tonight, on the Sci-Fi Channel, and it's at 10 p.m. Eastern. And what it's going to be is think of it as a talk soup for geeks. Science fiction, geek culture, where they'll look at not only TV and movies, but also video, YouTube culture, video games, news, all kinds of stuff. And he'll have a panel and kind of go back and forth and stuff. And it's not something that hasn't been done before, but it hasn't really been done with geek culture. The G4 kind of did some stuff like that, but not quite as mainstream as maybe we would have liked it. So I'm really excited about the Wil Wheaton project, and I hope it works out.
That could be cool.
Yeah, it sounds interesting.
I love where Wil Wheaton has kind of matured to right now. What I don't know about something like this is how well he is in a spontaneous situation. He's really good as a guy reading a book and working off a script on Big Bang Theory, and he's just amazing at some of the stuff. Where I just see glimpses of here and there is his spontaneity, and even his board game show, they cut so much in and out that you just don't know how much of that, how many takes it took to get that one. So it'll be interesting to see what he does in a completely live format. I'm hopeful though. I really like him. So I also
got used to a big heavy dose of Wil Wheaton over the last few years, maybe the last 5 years, where he partnered up with the guys from Penny Arcade Comic and played new versions of D&D. And they turned Wizards of the Coast turned those into podcasts, and so those are obviously all unscripted. In-game moments, and he's a funny guy. He's like I said, I think that stiffness, and I know what Keith's talking about, there has been traditionally kind of a stiffness to Will Wheaton, and he's always tried to think of himself as this polished actor, or attempting to be this polished actor, that never really quite worked out for him. And I've really seen him loosen up over the years, over the last few years, and I think he accepts who he is and where he's going. And like I said, I'm very excited for the show.
Yeah, I am. I am too. I mean, I'm worried about that aspect of it, but I'm hopeful that this will be the final nail in that coffin of his past. You know, that he's just going to put it all behind him now, and he's going to be the next great, live performer like that. You know, that he's going to be able to roll with it.
Yeah, he's in many cases single-handedly. I mean, there are other avenues too, but in many ways responsible for the board game kind of revolution that's happened, the renaissance. The last couple of years, they have what's now called the Will Wheaton effect, where games that he features on tabletop encounter as much as I think 250% increase in sales, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So that's not nothing.
And I have mentioned that show here on this show before,
Yeah.
and our other one. It's fantastic. It's definitely, if you like board games at all, it's worth a watch.
And they just did a Kickstarter campaign. They needed $750,000, I believe, to do a third season. They ended up getting $1.2 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
So not only will he be doing a season 3 of Tabletop, he's also going to do a new web series on RPGs, which is also awesome.
And he'll be on Sci-Fi, right?
It's a Sci-Fi channel. Yep.
So if that stuff
Sippy.
doesn't work out, there's always shows about tornadoes and Will Wheaton.
Ugh.
Will
Sci-Fi is.
star of Sharknado 3.
Yeah.
I think Will Wheaton started turning around for me when he started brewing beer.
Yep.
Oh yeah, big beer lover, man. Oh man, he loves beer.
Well, and he's been a great blogger forever too.
Yeah.
You know, he's always put everything he's done online. Even back when TypePad was cool, he was there doing stuff. So I mean, I've been following him forever. You know, as a social media kind of guy, and he's come a long way. He's definitely matured, and some of the stuff that he's come out with at cons and stuff lately has just been amazing. So I'm really optimistic. I think this could have the makings of a great show if they back him and they don't force him into some sort of typecast.
Well, he actually asked for, when they pitched the idea of doing a show on the Sci-Fi Network, he said, well, I really wouldn't do it unless I had some kind of creative hand in the show, unless I could be a producer, unless I could write the content or have a hand in writing the content. So they gave him all of that.
Yeah.
He's got a huge creative hand in the show, which is great. He's had some really great moments the last year too. There was a particular Star Trek convention that he went to, which was one of the first to feature the entire cast. Was up on a dais, on a stage, to answer questions from the audience, and it was one of the first times that's ever happened. And someone asked him, I think it was the guy who played Tyrrell on Battlestar Galactica. He was actually in the audience. He's one of Will Wheaton's close friends, and he asked him about his time on the show, and he spent about 3-4 minutes just talking about how he really didn't appreciate his time on the show until it was over, and he left for, kind of self-centered kid reasons, and didn't really appreciate, and it was only later in life that he realized what a bad thing he had, and kind of what a dick he was to his fellow castmates. And he didn't show up at other events or people's weddings when they got married because he was unsure that they wanted him there. And you could just see, like, the woman who plays Dr. Crusher and Deanna Troi, they were in tears. And
and that's not the first time he said that too. He's actually said that.
But he said it to them.
Yeah,
which is something new.
He went through that with Geordi and Captain Picard too, like years ago.
Just to finish the story, LeVar Burton actually was one of the first to respond, and he said, "Look, we knew you were a kid. You were just a kid. We understood, and you were always part of the family, and you always will be part of our family." And it was a really nice moment.
Yeah. And
I think more than anything else, at least in my mind, that just kind of solidified that maybe it was my perception that he was a dick. Maybe he really was a dick. But in any event, he changed my mind, or he's matured, or maybe both.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think there's definitely been he's definitely matured. I mean, you come up. You're lucky to survive being a child actor anymore.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so many of them just completely train wreck and end up on drugs and killing themselves. So the fact that he got out of it alive was a credit to his to his personality to begin with, and the fact that then he could then become a normal human being afterwards is just another feather in his cap.
I'm really happy for him. I hope it works out.
We should probably move on to picks.
Yeah,
gotta
pick
set that on my
segment.
DVR.
Yeah, next week, Tuesday the 27th at 10 p.m. Eastern.
All right.
The Will Wheaton Project. All right, our half pint segment. Keith has got his topic on the screen.
I was the first one. Nobody else had any picks in it. I thought I was going to have to carry the damn segment this week.
Yeah, well, carry it to start off with. You want to talk about a Cortex camera?
Yeah. Again, it's me here, Keith, with the iPhone app. Again, your PNRShow iPhone app of the week. That's what this segment is. But this is kind of a cool app I've been playing around with for the last couple of weeks, and it's another camera app for the iPhone. And I know Gary and Jeremy are camera buffs. I'm always looking for something unique and something different to do on the iPhone. And what Cortex camera does is it's really, really good for low light or even night shots with the iPhone unassisted, which is something where the iPhone struggles. Mm-hmm. You can it'll take low light shots, it'll take nighttime shots, but it'll be grainy, the stuff will be blown out, white balances will be off, all kinds of it struggles with them. What Cortex camera does is it actually takes about a 3-second movie when you hit the button, and you do have to hold it there while you hit the button, but you don't have to hold it perfectly still. You just kind of it's not a click and you're done thing. You press it, the bar goes across, and then it's done. And then instantly what it does is it takes that movie frame by frame and looks at it and takes the best of each image, lines everything up, and processes it together so you get this really good low light or even, like I said, nighttime image with all the detail and no grain in one shot. It works some pretty interesting magic. And it works in daytime too. But it works in low light, it works in almost no light. You want to take a picture of a cityscape at night, this is the app for you. It comes out crystal clear and beautiful every time. I actually took an image with it earlier today, and I tweeted it out. So if you want to go to wolfmank.com and look up the picture I posted from today, the 20th, that's called Steak Dinner. That was a picture that was actually taken at my dining room table of my meal tonight, just because it's Twitter, you got to take pictures of food. So I took that picture, and it was low light, not no light, but you can see it came out sharp and clear, and the colors were vibrant. It came out really good. I did a little cropping on it, but I didn't do any post-processing editing on it. That was all done in camera by Cortex Cam.
Which part of your page is that on?
I put it on Twitter. It's on Twitter. Facebook too, but it's called Steak Dinner.
Oh, okay. It's on Flickr too.
Yeah, it's on Flickr too. That's right.
This app might really help improve the quality of my beer photos as I take them to check into Untapped when I'm out at bars and things like that.
That's probably a really good use for it.
It is.
That would be really good use for it.
It clears up blur and stuff. What it's not real great at is motion. So if there's motion and it's low light, it doesn't do a hugely good job. But what it'll do is it'll take the first frame and freeze that and then composite everything else into that. So it even does a pretty decent job at motion. But that's not really what it's for. It's really for taking still life, scene shots, landscapes, cityscapes, stuff like that, in no light or low light.
That's a pretty good photo, man.
Yeah.
It's a good app because it shows the sharpness that it gives you. It shows the grain that's not there. It shows you the color balances and stuff. And like I said, that's a shot that would have normally triggered my iPhone's LED flash to go off.
Cortex camera. I will pick that up and before I leave for Mexico.
Yeah, awesome. It's probably a good idea for that.
Because actually, it's so funny that It's so funny you say that because my wife and I were going back and forth. Should we bring our camera? Should we not bring our camera? I said, well, I have my iPhone if you wanted to take a picture of something. But they never take great pictures, so now I will get this app tonight.
The 5 takes wonderful pictures in bright sunny daylight. It really does. There's almost no better pocket camera out there than the 5 or the 5S for daylight viewing. But as soon as it goes dark, it really struggles.
Yeah.
As most of them do.
Cool.
So this is kind of a way around that.
Very
But
cool.
do practice with it first, because like I said, you press the button, you got to wait a couple seconds for the line to go across before it's done.
Cool. I'll check it out. Thanks.
All right. As Keith seems to have his app segment every week, I seem to have my board game segment every week. I want to hip you to a website called CoolStuffInc.com. And what they do is sell deeply discounted board games. Deeply discounted board games, and they have them in huge supply. Warehouse basically just devoted to board games, collectible card games, and the like, and supplies and things like that. So, but one of the things that they also do is they buy collectible cards. So I have a gazillion, as I'm sure Keith does too, a gazillion Magic cards, and they have certain cards in different sets that they're looking to buy, and I went through all of my cards and found about $250 worth of cards that they wanted. So I packaged them up, and I'm sending them out tomorrow, and they're having a nice special this month that if you choose, you can choose to have them pay you by check or by PayPal, or you can do in-store credit. And for this month, they're offering an additional 25% in-store credit for what you do. So I'll probably pick up a few board games for myself and maybe save some in the account to get some gifts for people at Christmas and birthdays and such. So it's a really, really cool site, and they have just about every speaking of tabletop game that Will Wheaton mentions or exhibits on tabletop, plus a lot of great other games. So CoolStuffInc.com is a really cool place.
Cool.
Cool stuff.com.
Cool Stuff Inc. INC.
Stuff.
There's a link in the show notes.
There's a. Just waiting for Jeremy to say.
And the card buying process was so easy. Basically, I entered in all the cards that they needed there, they were looking for. I entered in how many I had. They assume that they're not in mint condition, that they have been played, so they've already taken that into account when they figure out how much they're going to pay you for them. They type out the list, and you send it back to them. They look it over. They email you back saying, "Yep, confirmed. We want these cards." Package them up, include the list, send it to us, and then we'll reimburse you. So it's great. I don't have to take them into a store and have them pour it over and lift them back and forth. So it was really neat.
Cool.
Gary has nothing.
I do. I just didn't put it in.
You just stole my link.
All right.
I did. I have this great camera app. No, actually, I'll do it real quick because we're kind of almost out of time. It's kind of a pick and an anti-pick at the same time, and it's Amazon's Cloud Player app that they have. I buy music through Amazon occasionally, and I actually use this app because I purchased the last episode of J.C. Hutchins' The 33, but I was at work. So I couldn't get it onto my iPod because there's no way to get files onto your iPod unless you sync it, audio files. So what I did was I uploaded the song or the files into my Amazon account and then opened the Cloud Player and was able to play the files because then Amazon then downloaded them through the Cloud Player. So it was kind of a roundabout way of getting stuff onto my iPod. So it was kind of cool for that. It was a way that I could get music or audio files onto my iPod without having to plug into my computer that iTunes set up on. So it was good for that. So kudos for Amazon for making it easy to actually get your files available to you wherever you are, and stuff that you don't have to purchase through iTunes. The bad part about it is that the UI and the functionality of the thing is very clunky and needs a lot of work. Apple has done a good job with their UI and making things usable, and this was just a painful process that I would rather not repeat. So it's good that they have enabled you to do that, have your stuff anywhere you want it, and download it or play it, via streaming. But they got some work to do on their UI, so that's the negative part of my pick.
Doesn't Dropbox do the same thing? Could you put a file in Dropbox and play it right out of there, stream it?
You might be able to do that. I don't know if you can actually play the audio file out of Dropbox. I tried Google Drive, that didn't work. I didn't try Dropbox. I don't know if Dropbox would download it onto your phone and then allow you to play it. What I needed was, I didn't want to have to stream it because I wasn't going to be where there was a network connection, and I didn't want to use my data plan, so I needed to download it.
By Will Wheaton.
Oh. Is it downloaded or streaming?
Streaming it.
Chapter 0.
Yeah, see, I was not able to stream. I had to have the file residing.
Well, it will. I mean, obviously, you can download it from Dropbox because that's what it does, and it will keep it in the folder.
Okay, well, that would have been an option, yeah. But I didn't try that one. So
I haven't played around with the Cloud Player because I'm just. I bought a few things from Amazon here and there, and I'm sure they're in Cloud Player. But since I left my Android phone for iOS, I don't really use any of their stuff. I'm so locked into Google and iOS that.
Yeah.
I think Drive will do that too. I think you can throw it up in Drive now.
I tried it with Drive, it didn't work.
Oh, and it won't play it?
No, it doesn't.
You could. I know you can put MP3 files there. I didn't know if you could play it.
So. I guess it's more of an anti-pick. If Amazon really wants to compete with Apple, they got to get their act together.
Yeah.
Okay,
Jeremy.
my pick. This week I'm picking Roid Week 2014, which is every year. Roid Week. Every year there's a yeah, awful. Every year there's a week of Polaroid film photography on Flickr.
Okay, that's better.
This is the celebration of instant film photography for 1 week. The link in the show notes will be to the group on Flickr, and if you're a fan of instant film or a fan of photography in general, check it out. There's some neat stuff up there. It's really cool to see what people are doing with these old cameras with the new Impossible Project film.
Yeah, I just know that like Flickr or Tumblr or Vimeo, that they just be careful what you type in your search box.
Yeah, Roid Week could get you in trouble.
Yeah, no, I mean, and on the actual Roid Week, be careful what you type to search. Like, I want to search for pictures of cute babies. Well, they might send you pictures of a bunch of blonde bombshell, like 20-year-olds, or whatever has been coded into the thing, just like any Tumblr or Flickr site. So, just saying.
Rob is speaking of this from experience.
No,
I think.
Mm-hmm.
Clear that cache, Rob. Clear that cache.
Okay, so Roid Week, we'll check that out, and next week we're going to continue and finish up our St. Arnold mini unit of our Texas beers with their Amber Ale. Looking forward to it. Any other quick hits, guys, before we take off? Guess not.
The soundboard says no.
Thanks, guys, for visiting us. Happy time. Oh, gosh. Pine and No Return show. Thanks. Sorry, I've checked out. I'm on vacation. I'm leaving on a jet plane.
I thought you could walk to Mexico from there.
It's about it's like a little more than a 2-hour flight, so it's a quick one.
Wow.